kiddos, Bonus Mom here again, and I'm playing with plarn. So those of you who saw my past tote bag tutorial, how to make plarn, how to assemble a tote bag, and I put grip handles on it, you requested that I show you all the different handles that I do for tote bags, and there really basically are three different ways I like to top off my bags. So I have a partially completed market bag here today. If you were making one, you might want it a little bigger. I would want it considerably bigger, but this will do for a sample. If you want to know how to make this bag, that tutorial is coming next. So I have my partially completed bag. I'm ready to put handles on it. I have a tape measure, and you will need one too. Scissors, of course. Plarn, yes. I also am going to need something to mark the center of each side of the bag. You can use stitch markers. You can use those hair clips that I use to keep yarn from raveling on me and rolling away across the floor. I like to recycle. I use old bread ties, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So we've got our equipment. We're ready to go. Let's make first grip handles for our bag. So kiddos, we are ready to put handles on our bag. I have found with plastic, it gives, it moves, it has a life of its own, and you don't need to look at this as these measurements have to be as exact as probably a rocket ship going into outer space. Okay, so we can kind of fudge on this a little bit. Basically, measuring it, this bag is 14 inches wide. So that means at about 7 inches, I'm in the middle of my bag. Now, my handles don't come up out through the middle of the bag, but I still need to know where the middle of the bag is, and that's where the bread tie comes in. So right about 7 inches, that's that stitch. Let me see. Let me look at that again. It might, yeah, no, it's actually this one. So I'm just going to pull my bread tie through there, wrap it a couple of times, and that's the middle of the bag. And then I'm going to flip it over and measure the other side the same way. Should be 14 inches, let's face it. Oh yeah, so 7 inches is right there. And that's about as exact as I ever get, folks. And like I said, I kind of like to use the bread ties. So I got like a little cup on my desk or my craft room that has all these bread ties in it. Then I pick up the bag and yep, they match up pretty well. We're good to go. Now, I'm ready to crochet. The first handles that we're going to make are the grip handles, and I actually covered that in the tote bag tutorial, but I'm going to do it again because that way you won't have to go hunting through tutorials all in one place. I'm doing the half double crochet stitch. I think I'll fold this over a little, it makes it easier. And I'm at the beginning of a row. So basically, I'm going to chain 2, and that's the beginning of my row. And that counts for that stitch right there. So now I'm going to do a half double crochet stitch in each stitch towards the center of my bag. But I don't go all the way to the center. I am going to leave 5 empty stitches on this side of my bread tie. The size of your bags will vary. Again, if I were genuinely making a market bag, I would make it much bigger. My tote bags tend to be bigger than this. I hope you're intrigued by the market bag. If you think you want to make a tote bag, but you want to use less yarn and less stitches, this is probably a pretty good choice. If you put pencils or coins in there, they might fall out, but otherwise you'd have yourself a dandy bag. I said I'm going to leave 5 stitches, not counting the one in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that looks about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got one more hook. So I'm going to have a total of 11 stitches across here that aren't going to have another stitch in them. I'm going to chain 13 stitches, and do it kind of loosely or you'll drive yourself crazy trying to get the hook in it for the next row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 13. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Then I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 past. This is the stitch I'm coming back in. I want to be sure I don't fold this. I don't twist it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a stitch right here. Wrap my yarn around, go into the 5th stitch, grab my plarn, pull it all the way through, and now I should have 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think, no, I did it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. I missed it by 1. I'm going to get there. Work with me. Bonus Mom can count. She learned how, but sometimes she needs a double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It goes in this one. And then I'm going to crochet my half double crochets all the way around the bag to the other side. I am back around the other side of the bag now. I've done my half double crochet stitches all the way around. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. I need one more double crochet, half double crochet right there. I'm going to do my 13 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Count 5 stitches from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my next stitch goes right in there. Wrap around. Pull through. Wrap around, pull through. And now I want to finish up the row with half double crochet all the way back to where I started. I am all the way around the bag now. I'm doing my last half double crochet. I'm going to stick my needle through the 3rd chain of my 1st stitch of the row. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through again. At this point, you can kind of hold your bag in your hand, get the feel for it. Does it look like that you've been fairly uniform in your handle stitches? This looks like, yes, we have. They look like they're pretty evenly matched up. Yes, we're ready for the next row. At this point, you have a choice. Yes, you could just leave this if you wanted to, but I'll tell you, those stitches are not going to hold. This is the part of the plastic that will wear out the most. This is the other part of the plastic where you set the bag down. So you have to decide, how thick a handle do I want? You have the option of doing 1 row or 2 rows, and you also have the option of doing a row of half double crochet plus a row of single crochet, just to be sure at the end that you have as much handle as you need to handle the wear and tear. Or you could do 2 rows of single crochet. I am going to choose to do another row of half double crochet and then a row of single crochet, and this bag will be finished. So first row that I'm going to add on is half double crochet. I'll meet you back here again just in a couple of minutes. I decided to stop and share something in particular with you because another difficult part of crocheting plarn happens when you get to the single chains across the top of your handle. You could just do 13 stitches in the handle of the bag. They'd, you know, just through here, they'd slide around a little bit. Something that is sturdier and will last better is if you do the half double crochet stitches in each one of these stitches. And that's harder to do. Remember I said to chain loosely? It can be a challenge to go back in there and do a stitch of half double crochet through these chain stitches. You might even want to try to get a smaller size hook. You might want to use a larger size hook to do your chain stitches. I'm kind of used to it, so it's popping through fairly well. When you pull it out and it's used, that's all going to tighten up for you. But be sure that you do your 13 half double crochets or single crochets, whichever one you're doing. Be sure that you do them through the stitches, not just through the opening of the handle bag. If you hear a funny noise in the background, it's not a dog barking. It is me pulling plarn out of my bucket. I am to the other side of the bag. It's going pretty fast, isn't it? And I'm going to do the exact same thing over here that I did there. I'm going to half double crochet through each one of these chain stitches rather than underneath them. I have finished my second row that involves the handle of my tote bag. Don't be alarmed if it looks a little wonky hither and there. Yarn is very consistent in the width and the weight, and things just tend to lay smooth and look nice. Plarn, not that. Plarn has a life of its own. You're sitting there either using a rotary cutter or scissors or however it is that you come up with your plarn strips. They're not going to be uniform, and they don't always lay smooth and look nice. If you look at the sides of this bag, it's a little wonky. The truth is, as you use it, as you put things in it, as you pick it up and carry it, it's gonna end up having a nice shape and look great, and you're not going to pay attention anyway because you're going to be shoving 2-liter bottles of Coke and milk or a weekend's worth of underwear in it, and what the handle looks like is not going to matter too much to you. You do have a decision, particularly if this was a bag that you were going to send a kiddo to school with maybe, or for an overnight. That might be all the handle you want. That's going to fit in that person's hand and just be fine. But you might also want it to be a little bit sturdier just to be sure it lasts, because like I said, this handle is one of the two parts of the bag that gets the most wear and tear. Keep in mind this: if you do this and you don't like something about it, one of the glories of plarn is you can just cut off what you don't like, unravel it, get rid of it, and you could crochet a whole new top on it. Hard to do with yarn. The type you're using disappears, or the color is gone, or they're different lots and they don't match. Not a problem with plastic, because you know what? None of it matches. None of it matches. Your Walmart bags from one week to the next don't look the same. I am going to choose to do another row of single crochet this time, all the way around the bag. Experience has just taught me that it makes a better handle that will last longer. But that is looking like a tote bag. Look at that. I know it's got a funny tan bottom. I actually already had this crocheted from something a long time ago, and I think it looks pretty cool, and I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go with this. Okay, coming into my last row, single crochet all the way around. This row over the handles will be much easier because I'm going to have actual stitches rather than chain stitches to crochet in. So this time, I'll meet you clear back at the beginning of the bag. I am going to come in right here again. I had rolled up a ball of yarn of plarn and I didn't know how far it would go. Another good thing about plarn is when you get to the end of your plarn but you're not done with your row, just get yourself another ball of yarn. Plarn. Oh, I've got the thirsty can't say my words right disease. So I'm going to put one loop attached to my ball under. Gonna push my ball of yarn plarn through and pull it tight, and I just get to keep going. None of that Russian join or tying or sewing in or do half a stitch and then put something else in there. You have that with yarn. You don't have to have it with plarn, particularly when you make your plarn balls and your plarn out of the loops of a shopping bag instead of one wide strip. I also want to say that I would never make a handle for a tote bag strictly out of tablecloths. I just feel like the shopping bags are sturdier. People have also told me that more and more states are outlawing plastic bags, or they're using only biodegradable ones and they might not be well marked. Be careful about the bags that you use. You'd hate to put a whole lot of work into something and have it biodegrade and crumble away in front of your very eyes. On the one hand, on the other hand, I think that it does take a good long time for the bags to biodegrade, and honestly, you may want to make another tote bag instead of just kind of holding on to the first one you ever made. Nothing lasts forever, or so they tell me. I'm all the way back to the beginning, and I want to share and remind you, if you've been watching my other tutorials, of an interesting thing about crochet. Because you have two parts to any stitch you do. You have the stitch part that connects in the row below, and then you have the loop at the top of the stitch that leads to the next stitch that you do. And the loop on top is not immediately on top, but it's to the left if you're right-handed. Not sure how it works out if you're left-handed. So I have done 3 rows now. And whereas when I started that first row, I started right over here on the edge of the bag, right there, and then crocheted up. Now, because of the loops that I'm continuing to crochet in on each row are immediately to the left of the stitch I've just done. The middle of my bag, or the side of my bag now, is not where my row ends. And if I did enough rows, that loop, as I went around, would end up being over here somewhere. So, because of that, I don't want to do my long strap from here. I would have to actually start my last 2 or 3 rows over here, so that when I got to this side of the bag and I was just going to crochet the long hook, it would be in the right place. But I was afraid that might be a little bit hard for you all to follow. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch and pull that out. And then I will need to secure these in the bag. We'll talk about that at the end of the bag. Now, this bag is ready to go just the way it is. And I think that might have been the tote bag that I showed you in my other tutorial. I'm not sure I remember. But what I want to show you now is the second way that I like to do tote bags. I like the grip handle. Guys particularly pick those up, grab it by the handle, and away they go. That's how Bonus does it if he's carrying my bags of stuff around. But I like that longer handle that can also go over my shoulder. So I'm going to crochet a longer handle, and then we're going to add it to each side of the bag. So I need to crochet a long handle now. And I kind of think, oh, I can't remember. We're gonna measure it and see how many stitches we think are good for a long handle. I'm afraid to say because then you'll remember what I said. So putting a loop in my plarn, and I got a choice again on the long handle. I can do half double crochets, double crochets, single crochets, whatever I want. I can crochet 2 or 3 across, flip it and turn it, 2 or 3, you know, I can do it that way. But how I like to do it is I like to chain till I get a chain that is the size that I want it to be over my shoulder. And I might even pin it to it and then, you know, pick up the bag and check and see how I like. And I also need to have at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches of extra that's going to go down over the sides of my bag, and that's how I'm going to connect it. So I'm going to chain, I'm going to chain 50 stitches, and then we'll see what that looks like. Remember to chain loosely. I now have 50 chain stitches. I did them kind of loosely so that I can get my hook back through them again. I'm just going to hold it up next to the bag. Let me shove these extra strips I haven't dealt with down inside the bag from there to there. That doesn't suit me. That is not big enough. I think we need 20. Yeah, I think 70. I started to say 70 and then I wanted to double check myself. I'm going to do 20 more. Okay. I'm going to take 5 of them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's 65 stitches. And honestly, I think that's about perfect. So now I have to decide if I want thinner or I want fatter. Do I want 2 rows of single crochet or 2 rows of half double? This is half double and single. I could do it that way. It doesn't match quite as well. But you know what? I think that I'm going to do 2 rows of single crochet. I think that's what works for me. So I'm going to go all the way, catching one of the loops in my chain stitches, and I'm going to crochet all the way back across the bag with single crochet. We're up to over 8,000 views. I'm almost done with the first side of my strap. I'm down to my last loop. This time, instead of trying to do a single crochet in it, I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to slip stitch in my final little loop. Then I'm going to chain one, and I'm ready to do single crochets all the way up the other side of the chain. And as I stretch that to make it lay smoothly, it reminds me to tell you that these straps do stretch as you use them. That's true of yarn, and it's true of plarn. It stretches with use. I'm to the last stitch on my strap, and oh boy, am I glad. I'm going to chain one, go into that last stitch on the bag, pull all the way through. Now I have a strap. I can pull it out if it's the size that I want. I'm great. If it ends up being a little bit longer when you test it, you can just, that gets determined by how far down the bag you sew it. But I think I'm pretty happy with it right the way it is. So, again, not rocket science. I'm just going to put this thing on the bag, okay? Pull my yarn through. Let me see. Yeah, I did it. Get that out of the way. Pull my plarn. I keep saying yarn instead of plarn. Okie doke. There we go. Put it on my bag. Use my crochet hook to come up through the bag. Wrap my plarn around it. Pull it through. And I'm going to go back down through the top of the bag. Catch that plarn loop on my hook, pull it back up through again. And now I can go in the top of the bag, right there. What did I do? Wait. I'll get there. Come back through my loop, grab my plarn, and pull it through. There we go. Now we've got it. If you got a different way of doing this, whatever, all I'm doing is trying to secure the strap. You might want to get a great big darning needle and do that. That's okay too. Let's do that. We're at the top of the bag now. I'm going to grab that loop right like that. Now I'm going to go down through the center. Well, I got to do the same thing again. Got to pull my plarn through. I think I have more plarn than I need. All I'm doing, oops, I forgot to catch, did I catch? Oh no, I did. I caught the top of the bag. All I'm doing basically is weaving my plarn in and out of the top of this bag, catching my strap. You might decide you want to do it with twine or something heavier than the plarn, just to be sure. However you want to do it is fine. All I'm doing is connecting the plarn handle to the bag. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm happy. Okay, I did not need that long piece of plarn there. Just gonna hook some of that off. Gonna come back up one more time, catch it, and pull it underneath. Maybe, if I'm lucky. Get where you all can see me do this. Maybe reaching under, grabbing the plarn, there we go, and pulling it through. Now what would I do with all these ends? I got a couple of options. I can get rid of that extra part right there. We don't need that. Since I got all this plarn right here together, I will probably take these two ends, weave them in and out of my stitches, over to where this is. One more time. Let's see. And then I'm going to tie them together. Pull them fairly tight, not so tight that I pull them apart, but fairly tight. That really ought to kind of hold it. And then I'm just going to clip it. And actually those little ends will just sort of disappear into the plarn and never be seen again. At this point we can get rid of those babies and I can save them for the next tote bag. I want to bring my handle all the way over, being sure I don't twist it. It's easy to see because the front and backs do look kind of different. And this goes on this side of the tote bag, just about like that. So, I need another piece of plarn because there weren't any ends on this one. Oh, my towel is falling off of my table. Let's just have a moment here while we fix ourselves and make ourselves neat. Okay, here we go. Tote bag handle over the tote bag, being sure not to twist it. I'll put it over. You know, if it helps you to pin or pray over it or whatever it is that works for you, you just go right ahead. Do it your own way, how you like the best. I'm gonna loop this on there, pull it through, leaving the other part back, come back, grab it, well, maybe I'm gonna grab it. Okay. Down through here. Grab it again and pull it up. Come up from the bottom. Down from the top. Back up to the top again. And if you feel like it's stronger, check, see what you think. If you go around the whole thing again, do it. And then you would do the very same thing with these ends that I did with the other side. And your tote bag with two handles is done. Now, to answer the question that you're probably going to ask me in the comments, do I have to do these and this? No, you don't. You can just do those. You can just do this. But I promise you there's moments you want to grab that bag and carry it in your hands, particularly with those 2 bottles, those 2-liter bottles of Coke. And sometimes you're going to have, your clothes for the weekend and 2 or 3 other things, and you're going to want to throw it over your shoulder. You can certainly just go from the top of the bag and add this. You do not have to do these, and you do not have to do this one. But I love the versatility of this. I think it's handy, and it works great. Because I've been handling this like I have is one reason why the bag is kind of that shape. As you use it, it's all just going to stretch out and be wonderful. And that, my dear kiddos, that is way number 1 and 2 of the tote bag handles that you can make for any bag that you're working. And of course you can translate that right over to crochet yarn if you like. Next, I'm going to show you how to make the big handles. But I think you already know. When I say I'm going to show you, I think it's the same way you do this. It's just that you do something like you make it a little bit more distance in here, and you do your handles about, I think it's 30 chain stitches instead of 13. But hold on a minute. I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to put it together the other way, and we'll see what we have and what you like. Kiddos, I am back. I have actually taken the top of the original bag off. I even took an extra row out because there was a mistake in the other one, which I think is the reason maybe why it was kind of stretching at the top. So I am back now and ready to show you how to do the 2 over the shoulder handles, the shorter ones, the ones that will just like hook over your shoulder, and the tote bag kind of comes up under your arm a little bit, which is actually, those are the handles I did on the original tote bag video. So because I took a little bit more out, I kind of need to measure again. So I'm going to, okay, this time it's really only about 13.5 inches, not quite 14. Let's see, let's get it to 13. Okay, 6.5 is right there. Gonna put my stitch marker in that side, flip the bag over, and measure it from this side. 6.5 is right there, which matches up just about perfectly with the other side. Yes, we're good to go. All right. So for this one, it's actually the same process as the grip handles, but the stitch numbers are different, okay? And you can adjust it any way that you might want to. I will tell you what I do here. Okay, so I am ready to start my next row with single crochet. I'll chain 2, and that's counts as my first half double crochet. And I am going to crochet towards the center, but this time I'm going to leave 8 stitches that I do not crochet in. And I do not count the middle stitch in that count of 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 more half double crochets. Gonna double check my counts now. Don't count that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. That yarn, and look at that. Okay, I must have missed something. Let me try that again, because I had a little bit more on one side than the other. Was that it? Did I do it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now I'm going to do 30 chains. 30, not 13, but 30, and I'm going to do them loosely because I've got to crochet in it on the next row. 1, 2, 3. That was 10. There's my 30 chain stitches. Now you can look at that and see whether you think that's long enough. You feel free to make as many chain stitches you want. Maybe you want this to be really long, then all you have to do is chain more stitches. I'm going to do 30. And then I'm going to count 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And pick it back up in this stitch right here. So let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Be sure I don't have that twisted. Yarn over, pull up, go through, pull up my yarn, plarn, pull back through. Okay, and now I'm going to do the half double crochets around to the other side of the bag. Let's see where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to check my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to do 30 more chain stitches loosely. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to check my handles. Oh yeah, they feel good. They feel like they're just very close to the same size. And now I want to finish my half double crochets all the way around the rest of the row. I'm ready for the second row of my handle crochet. I'm still doing half double crochet, and I'm going to half double crochet all the way around the entire bag. When I get to the chain stitches, I'm going to actually crochet inside of them rather than just underneath the bag. That'll make the stitches go all the way around instead of stick to one side of the bag or the other. This is exactly the same as when I did the grip handles as far as process is concerned. The counts are different. The handles, I left 11 stitches uncrocheted. The shoulder handles, I leave 17. I chain 13 for the grip handles, and I chain 30 for the shoulder handles. And you may adjust that any way that you like that actually suits your needs for your tote bag. I'm around the bag now, and I'm ready to do my half double crochet for my second handle on the bag. I'm done now doing my row of half double crochet around the bag. I'm going to take a moment, stretch my handles out, because as you use it, they'll stretch to see, do they pretty well match? And the answer is yes, they do. That's pretty good. Looks like it's pretty much in the center of the bag. You can see the opening is open, is bigger, more room for your arm to go through. Now I'm going to finish the row with half double crochet, and then you have a decision to make. You can be thinking about what you would do next. I'm finished with that entire row. I'm slip stitching my last stitch to my first stitch, and here we are. This is the decision that you have to make. Looking at this, is that enough handle? Or do you feel like you would like another row of either half double crochet, would make it, about an inch, and even could be an inch and a half wide, or a row of single crochet? I usually choose to do a row of single crochet. That's what I did on the grip handles. I feel like the handles are one of the two parts of the bag that get the most use. The bottom is the other side when you're sitting it down. So I have one more row to go. That is single crochet. It just goes all the way around the bag. And I'm going to beg your all's indulgence and tell you that Bonus Mom has crocheted just about as much plarn as she can today. So while I would and will, if I'm going to finish this bag off and do one more row of single crochet in each and every stitch. When I get back to the end, then I usually cut the end of my plarn, where are my scissors, so that I have two sides. Do one more slip stitch to secure my yarn. I'd open my bag up on the inside, and I will use my crochet hook to grab some of the one side of the yarn on either side. See what I'm doing here? It's different than it is with regular yarn. You know, you wouldn't finish your ends off, but you can't just weave them in and out because it's plastic and it's slippery and it'll come loose on you. So then I would tie it in 2 or 3 knots, pull it fairly tight, but not so tight that it pulls it apart. And I don't want to do that because, again, I'm not actually finished with the bag. And then I would cut all the excess off. And then my bag, with one more row of single crochet, would be completed. Now, if I were making a market bag that I was actually going to use, I would probably make that thing about that long, about as long as this table. I would have the solid bottom like this so that things don't fall out the bottom. It is the oval, so when you set it down and open it up, it's easy to put things in there. This actually kind of works as like a purse size, or if you were making a tote bag for a kiddo to take on a sleepover somewhere, one of your little kiddos, then this would be a good size. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial today. I certainly enjoyed doing it up until the point of where my hands started to hurt. And as I've said many times, it's a wonderful way to recycle. You have something that is truly a conversation piece, and people are going to ask you lots and lots of questions about, but it is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And if you have never crocheted, then pick a simpler project to start, because as you can see with how I struggle with the plastic, it is some hard work. Now, this weave is different than the tote bag that I did. The tote bag was all half double crochet stitches all the way from top to bottom, but this one changes right here, and it opens up a little bit, gives it more vertical and horizontal stretch as you're shoving things in it. Takes a little bit less crochet plarn to do. It's a little bit easier maybe on your hands. So that's why I call this my market bag pattern. And I will be making one for you from beginning to end and telling you the counts and the different things for what I do. And it will be a bigger one. So I invite you to look for that tutorial, should be popping up soon, and check for some of the other tutorials. I'm just getting started. I have a lot to learn. I very much appreciate your comments. It helps me do what I do better. We've got our camera situated so we have a better view of things. I'm got pretty much settled up this time. Figured out my son has been running around adjusting the camera for me and things while I'm doing this. We are truly, truly a family project. Sometimes my husband is the one who sits and makes the plarn for me out of the plastic loops. So I get lots of help. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, let me hear from you. I promise I read my comments. I appreciate your subscribing. Please do that so that you get notifications of all the different little projects that Bonus Mom comes up with. And I'll see you next time, kiddos. Take care.